can start by just settling, stepping into the present moment. There can never be too many reminders of being in the now. The mind may get very tired, frustrated or annoyed at any perceived effort for being aware. I've been dealing with a virus of some kind, perhaps it's COVID or the flu, and so the last couple of weeks there's been a noticing of this cough, of course, and a noticing of a depletion of energy, tiredness, fatigue. And there's been a sense that it's been hard to remain in the present moment, or it's been hard to step into the present moment. There's been this sort of dense fog of fatigue and tiredness. And then there was a moment where there was the recognition that something is aware of the tiredness and fatigue. There is something unchanging that is aware of the changing of the, okay, now there's a layer of mental and physical tiredness there. And this may not be the case of during this current health situation. Not sure if it's correct to say this, but I can experience the present moment in the same way I used to. Perhaps without the fatigue and the tiredness, there was an almost clearer and crisper experience of being in the now. There was a bit more of a sharp but soft silence of now. But with what's going on with me, it's almost forcing me to go deeper still. That's perhaps the surface sensations of being in a present moment is what I've been used to. But now it's going deeper. So I may not be able to, or it might just be my perception, to experience the initial relief or those qualities of being in the present moment, where there's a sudden vast spaciousness or stillness. And not to say that that's not there, but perhaps it's being covered up with the fatigue, and now it's forcing me to look at the subtleties, such as the energy that is aware of the fatigue. It may not be a beautiful, deep, sensational experience of ecstasy, but there is a deep calling to remain with what's true. To recognize who you are despite potential obstacles or difficulties, that it may not always be where you can, in such a visceral way, step into the now and experience that. And it could be the same as if you're having a difficult conversation or a difficult life situation. There may not be the opportunity to experience the vastness as if you were sitting in a park bench in nature. And there may not be that opportunity, but there is always the one, the witness, who is aware perhaps of the difficult situation, aware of perhaps suffering, aware of sensations. And you'll find myself continually adjusting as well. For example, with this fatigue, it almost pulls me in like a weight. If you're in the lake and you're trying to get to the surface, the weight is kind of constantly pulling you down. So I'm constantly being pulled into the experience called tiredness or fatigue. And then there's something in me that's saying, okay, I need to be present in this, and it's trying to invite or uncover the present space. And then there's almost a bit of a game or a current condition where maybe for a moment there is a subtle recognition of the now, of perhaps this body and mind being tired, and there's the recognition of that, and then I go under the surface again, and then I come back out and then back under. And I'm doing what I can not to resist that, because resistance, of course, will be the mind-made self, perhaps saying this shouldn't be happening. I don't like this, or why can't I stay in the present moment? What's wrong with me? And so it's allowing, and the pointer of allowing, that it cuts through everything. It's the allowing of not being able to continuously experience the present moment, or the allowing of constantly being pulled into or losing myself, losing the deep I in the experience of unwellness or tiredness. And it's now working with that. So perhaps the previous times of having this clear and crisp experience of spaciousness and all of the qualities that come with that peace, and now it's just working with, okay, I don't have that available, but there's always the witness. Everything's taking place in that, as spiritual teachers often refer to as the screen. So no matter the experience, it always takes place in the screen, and it's just becoming aware of the screen. And of course you may lose yourself in the movie again, and then being aware of that. And for me, there's almost a trusting in this, that this is not just how life is. That whatever the health conditions are going on in the body, whatever the body and mind are recovering from, there's almost a sense that it's very precise. This is not just by chance. Me having this sort of experience or perceived wrestling with the now and trying to stay in the now. It's all and it's realizing that it almost acts as an anchor, that life is always taking care of you. And it's deeply connected to who you are. You are life. And so at times when you may feel either you may feel low, or you may feel discouraged or disheartened. For example, having this experience where, constantly going back and forth into difficult experience and then trying to bring myself back to the present moment. In one sense, one can be discouraged. Feel like you're taking steps backwards, or you're losing anything's possible thought-wise. You may be losing faith. You feel like, I don't really know if I'm cut out for this, this spiritual path. Or am I doing this correctly? And the answers are always within you. Of course, make use of spiritual books and videos and teachers and consult those, of course. But the true teacher, of course, reflects your true self in them. It shows you where you are not who you really are. And that's the same as what you have inside of you. It's almost built in. The knowing of who you are. Of course, a knowing of who or what you are not. Not the thoughts coming and going, not the feelings coming and going, becoming severe and then fading away perhaps. The changeability of that. You are not your senses that are observed, and there's something noting that. So if you are feeling, disheartened, discouraged, just simply allow that to be. Nothing to fight and nothing to say, I shouldn't be feeling this way. So you're not adding to that. Perhaps the feelings or frustrations may arise and then, there it is. And you allow it. Observe the sensations in the body. So currently for me there is a challenge that I'm dealing with. And an important reminder for me is to again accept the simplicity of what is happening right now. Such a temptation to recount my story of 2 weeks of this, and it's not getting any, it doesn't feel like it's getting much better, and how long is it going to go on for? so much energy created, more mental structures. And you can almost sense the effects of a thought, like a rock going into a lake, the ripples being created. So forcing me to go deeper. And deeper doesn't necessarily mean more complex or more sophisticated. No. It's simply deeper into the now. In some ways, for me, deeper can mean turning up the volume of presence. There's a sort of, the health situation that's pulling me, and perhaps I need to meet it with, when needed, an intensification of being present. More alertness, perhaps. And it's a different kind of effort here. It's not an effort to achieve, an effort to, I must do this correctly. No. It is a different type of effort. One approach also is to almost become curious of what is happening. If there is something that is covering up your awareness, or if there's a behavior pattern or life situation, the curiosity opens some space. There's now the awareness, curious of anything that's arising in it. Whether it's thoughts about egoic thoughts or feelings coming up. And in the nature of curiosity, perhaps there isn't the sense of ego in that. There's a natural opening to be curious, to really feel something or to witness it. And it's to use whatever angle or pointer that can help in this moment. In this moment, for example, curiosity may be the last thing you need, and you may just need simple accepting of this moment. That's all that this moment needs, or all that you can do. And in other times, there may be the energy to be curious, to intently observe and witness what is happening. And it's not a curiosity that needs an answer. It's simply the joy in just the looking in itself, the witnessing. If any answers arise, they will arise within that, without the mind getting involved, saying, I must have precise answer. I must resolve this. And of course it is impossible for the mind to reach that point. And it feels like there's an acceptance in me of the times where I get lost in the tiredness, and the acceptance of when I return back to the now, or the brief recognition of not being in the now, which is, of course, you are present when that is happening. But just to accept that, okay, right now that's all that can be done. That's something that came up this morning, perhaps learning to be soft with oneself, self-compassionate. And perhaps for me this is the opportunity to do that, to really check in, to really be delicate and gentle. And not have the harshness of, why can't I be present in this moment? Or what's wrong with me? And perhaps you can check in with what's needed for you. Whether it's an increasing the volume of your presence, the intensification of being alert, going into the body, or embracing the acceptance of exactly what is happening just in this moment. Whatever, accepting this moment as it is, as Eckhart says. And for me, there's an action that has come out of this situation. There is the action of perhaps watching a spiritual video, or continuously reading a spiritual book. And there's the understanding that perhaps in my weakened state, or the health situation that is going on, that perhaps maybe some more support is needed, and that comes from the now. Any action that is required, it's not like a case of mentally figuring out or trying to decide if I should do this or should I not do this. There's a very clear, just like when you're thirsty, there's not a mental exercise about, okay, should I get a glass of water? No, it's there and it's clear. Perhaps if there is any mental gymnastics happening about that, then perhaps you can go into the now, or not do anything, just allow that to settle perhaps, and then what is needed will be clear from that. And bring that into the space of now. And you may realize that whatever decision making is happening is maybe just a mind being restless in this moment. Maybe in this moment a decision is not needed, but the mind wants it resolved. It wants it, very neat and tidy. It doesn't want any uncertainty. It wants straight lines and clear cuts. And when I refer to different pointers of being either delicate or gentle, allowing, accepting, intensifying your presence, that all again comes from your true being. It will let you know what is needed. All of the answers are there. And there's been the thought recently as well of, which is, I've done this sort of these recordings for several years now, perhaps even more so, maybe 4 or 5 years perhaps. But about maybe allowing this to be as it is. If no recordings come, if there isn't a sense to the energy to record, then allowing that to be as it is. Of course, the mind will resist that. The egoic mind will be like, no, you need to continue the continuity of pulling out the episodes of not, losing numbers or listeners, and the algorithm of the digital world and all of that, and of course achievement as well, need to keep up this. And so there's a bit of a struggle with that at the moment. Of perhaps there's a search for purpose in my current life situation, and perhaps this recording there's an idea of purpose about it, but perhaps when checking in with the now, there may not be a recording that needs to be done. And so you're letting go of, letting go of everything. Which can seem scary, something that I haven't quite done with this recording yet. Even recording now is a great effort for me. I don't feel like the quality of this recording is any good. I feel like this is coming from the space of, yes, I am present right now, but perhaps it's being a bit forced to think, okay, I better record this week. I haven't released a recording yet, so I better sit down and record, versus the effortless, almost outpouring of a recording of spiritual pointers of sharing. And maybe this is down to my health situation as well, the fatigue, where it's of course very draining. And so perhaps it's good for me to listen to that, and listen to not an old idea or thought about an achievement or how this should be, but trusting in that if a recording doesn't happen in the next few weeks or a month, that's okay. And perhaps it's better to not record something where it is forced and it feels like it's a bit more of an obligation, versus something that's very fresh and alive. Perhaps it's easier to record something in, whether it's once every few months, perhaps that's preferable than having to churn out, or what can feel like, with this kind of effort, churn out week by week recordings. And that's something for me to work with, and trusting the letting go, trusting that life will take care of the details. As I'm reading Wayne Dyer's memoirs at the moment, and to paraphrase from that, I think Wayne Dyer says something along the lines of, aligning with your higher purpose, connecting with that, and then almost life will take care of the details. And so perhaps my aligning would be to want to share these spiritual pointings, to want to share about my journey, and there's something almost I can sense in me that that's something to give to others as well as myself. And then leaving the details, or allowing life to take care of the details. So it may mean that there may be breaks here or there. There may not be the consistency that my mind feels that it is needed. And it's trusting in that. And all of this, almost, it's almost fuel for the spiritual path. Whatever is happening in your life, whatever life situation, it's all very specific to you, and it's chosen for you to awaken. So perhaps me not recording, or a recording not happening, there isn't the urge to record, perhaps that's the path to maybe diminish my ego even more, to whatever the reason is. But it's trusting, knowing that, it comes down to trusting in life. Of course, there's my little me, the little mind saying, well, I must record each week, I can't. And of course, it's very limited, and not understanding the vastness of the plans that life has for me, of what I'm here to do, or what is meant to be unfolded for me. And so, is it possible to let go? And let go meaning not in the mind, the sense of, okay, I'm not going to bother doing anything, but letting go in really rooting and trusting in the present moment, and whatever action is needed, whether action comes from that space, is trusting in that. Whether it's the action, maybe planning for something, or whatever it is. And it's living from that place. So perhaps that's my homework for myself, to deal with this, to meet these current health situation, meeting this in the now, and also perhaps letting go of this podcast and leaving that for life to take care of. And perhaps I always bring it back to you as well. If there's any homework for you, if there's anything that arises while listening that is perhaps not serving you in this moment, always covering up the sense of who you are, then that is your almost spiritual work that is ahead of you. But I'm going to end the episode here, and there's a sense of wishing that perhaps anything from here has helped you in some way on your journey, and to wish you well as always, and I will see you again. Take care.